the updates that we get from the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. But heading to North America now, and the Republican-controlled U.S. House of Representatives have passed a sweeping tax and spending bill by a single vote. This would enact much of President Donald Trump's policy agenda and saddle the country with trillions of dollars more in debt. The package passed in a 215 to 214 vote after a marathon push that kept lawmakers debating the bill through 2 successive nights. The bill would fulfill many of Trump's campaign pledges, delivering new tax breaks on tips and car loans. This will also boost spending on the military and border enforcement. It will add about $3.8 trillion to federal governments, $36.2 trillion in debt over the next decade, as per reports. All of the chamber's Democrats and 2 Republicans voted against it, while a 3rd Republican voted present, neither for nor against the bill. Another Republican missed the vote because he was reportedly asleep. What Trump has dubbed a big, beautiful bill now heads to the Republican-controlled Senate, where it will likely be changed further during weeks of debate. Well, once again, with us to discuss these developments from North America is Andrew Latham, once again, Professor of International Relations at Macalester College and Senior Fellow, joining us from St. Paul, Minnesota in the US. Andrew, thank you for staying with us. We've heard there some of the impacts of the bill. This was hotly contested in a, of course, House that is run by and led by the Republicans. Why was this vote so close, and what were some of those amendments that were made over 2 nights of discussion?
Well, it's a big, beautiful bill, to use the phraseology, but it's not agreed to by everybody. There are factions within the Republican Party, and some of them are really opposed to excessive spending, let's put it that way. And other factions are really in favor of spending lots of money in favor of their constituencies. And then beyond that, there's the defense piece, right, which there's $150 billion added to the defense budget, which some Republicans are in favor of, but others look at that as like we're wasting a lot of money. So what I'm seeing here is real divisions, not between Democrats and Republicans, but within the Republican Party. And it's shaking out as it's going to shake out, as it has in the House, and it's going to shake out as it's going to in the Senate. But the idea that a lot of people outside the U.S., and even within the U.S., that there's a Democrat position and a Republican position is just not right. There are factions within the Republican Party that are disagreeing about some of the fundamentals of this big, beautiful bill.
Absolutely. Andrew, of course, we mentioned there more debts, but can you explain for our audience what the significance of that debt will be, not just for future generations, but also for the state of play over the next sort of 5 to 10 years?
Well, you know, the debt is in the U.S., as it is in Canada, as it is in Europe, as it is in a lot of countries. It's beginning to overwhelm budgets. Just paying off, right now in the United States, just paying off the interest on the debt is bigger than the defense budget, for example. And so you have various factions arguing about this. One of the through lines for this latest budget proposal, it's not been adopted yet, is to try to reduce the expenditure so that the debt doesn't go up. But the flip side of that is that there are factions within the Republican and especially within the Democratic Party that really want to spend a lot of money to elevate this cause or that constituency, and that's to use an old Marxist term, that's the dialectic that we're dealing with here. We in the Western world need to reduce expenditures in order to reduce the debt. On the other hand, we have constituencies that are really demanding a lot of investment in their causes, some of which are really noble. I don't have a problem with them. And how you navigate and negotiate that tension, that's really the elements, the essence of politics in the Western world. I'm not sure that the Trump administration is navigating it as effectively and efficiently and ethically as it should. But that's the dynamic that we're dealing with now in the Western world.
Andrew, one final question for you. Is it a simple case of this being passed through the Senate, or will there be any last-minute challenges to this big, beautiful bill, as Trump has put it?
If I were a betting man, and some days I am, and some days I'm not, I would say that the Senate will pass this, and President Trump will sign off on it, and we'll be stuck with the big, beautiful bill.
Andrew Latham, thank you ever so much for joining us there on a couple of topics, providing your insight. That is all that we have time for, but we will continue